What's up, everyone? Matt here with Down Once More, and it is time for another mini, random, grab bag, whatever you want to call it, episode where it's just me giving you some random stuff, news, stories, updates, all that fun stuff. So, let's get into it. First thing, this is my second attempt at recording this because I was 8 minutes into it before and realized my microphone was muted. So, it's one of those days, one of those weeks. Not a great start to the week since I am recording this on Sunday. But we're going to set the tone. We're going to pick it up here. First off, I want to start off with some confessions. If you listened to our last episode, which hopefully you did, Rayleigh and I had a lot of fun with it. We did our vocal warm-ups. There were some rants in there. We did a guilty pleasures draft set list, whatever we decide we want to call them, where we kind of said guilty pleasure song, movie, TV show, and a couple wild cards. I did, for my song, pick Seven Things by Miley Cyrus. And I do just want to come clean, because at one point I did sing part of the song, and I sang it incorrectly. I was singing the lyrics that go with the final chorus, the seven things I like about you, when I was listing your hair, your eyes, all that thing. But I let it off with the seven things I hate about you, and that's on me, moaning up to that mistake. I appreciate you all not just flooding our DMs with the incorrectly sung Miley Cyrus lyrics. So thank you for that. Secondly, I completely forgot that Evan Peters was in Never Back Down. He's one of the main characters in it, and he's really good in it. And I had said that is really kind of no-name people in it besides Jaman Hansu and Amber Heard, and Jaman Hansu was the only really good one in it. But Evan Peters is actually really good in that movie, and I would say he's a fairly popular, not necessarily a household name, but I think he's a pretty successful actor, and he's a pretty good actor with American Horror Story, the X-Men kind of Fox's first kind of reboot with it, and a lot of other things. He's a good actor. Oh, and the Dahmer series, which I never watched, but everyone was raving about this past year. So those are my confessions, coming clean, corrections from the last episode. I also want to say my Last of Us Part 2 game recap and things I want to see in season 2 of the series, that is still coming. I am still planning on doing that. I just haven't had much time to game lately. Life, work, all this stuff has been kind of crazy. And when I have had some downtime, I haven't wanted to play such a heavy and kind of dark game. If you watch season 1, you know it's a pretty heavy, dark series. And that does follow the tone of the games. And part 2 is no different. So I apologize, but it is what it is. It is still coming. It might be later on this summer. I think I'm like a third of the way through the game, maybe halfway through. And it's like 30, 40 hours, something like that. So it is still coming. Thanks for your patience. If you need something to tide you over, go listen to all of our other episodes or watch our episodes on YouTube. If you haven't watched on YouTube or aren't following or subscribed on YouTube, go do it. Put in some work on those episodes. We have fun with it. I think it adds to it, especially the ones with Rayleigh and I together. The ones that are just me, like this, just basically yelling into the void for no one to listen to, those you don't need to watch. Not as special, not as fun, not as entertaining. It's just me, my dumb face. But Last of Us 2, that video is still coming eventually. And if you just listen and you weren't aware of it, I did do full recaps on each episode of The Last of Us, and those are exclusive to our YouTube page. So yet another reason to check out our YouTube page. I talked the last episode about Twitter going downhill, and that still holds true. I'm about to be done with it partially now because every time there's a video on my Twitter page, the ad that plays before it is the State Farm one where the guy is bench pressing and the spotter's gum falls out of his mouth into the guy there laying on the bench. And I hate it so much. It's just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Don't like it. Don't like it, and that's the one I see all the time. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, or if it's just targeted towards me or what. I haven't searched for any insurance, so I don't know why that ad is being forced on me constantly. Next, Jon M. Chu. It was revealed this past week that he will be adapting Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat for a movie. So, no, I didn't see any indication of a timeline of when this will come out. I would assume it won't be until 2025, 2026 at the earliest, because right now he's working on the two-part Wicked adaptation, and that's slated to come out in the first one in 2024 and the second one in 2025. So I think that'll be eating up quite a bit of his time with everything going on with that. If you're not familiar, Jon M. Chu, he was the director of Crazy Rich Asians, and then he did the In the Heights adaptation. He worked with Lin-Manuel Miranda on that, and he did direct that movie, which we haven't talked about it on here, so I'm not going to give much away on that. But I thought he did a fairly decent job for adapting the play from what it was to the movie. There were a few choices I didn't love. You'll have to tune in whenever we finally do that episode to hear what those are. But ultimately, he did a pretty good job. This Wicked one that he's tackling sounds like it's a super ambitious project. I don't envy anyone doing that, and so I think that could be quite the test and challenge. And he did, the day I'm recording this, he revealed a first look at Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. But they are very distant pictures. They are side profiles. You don't see Cynthia Erivo's face, Elphaba's face at all. You can kind of see that it's Ariana Grande from the side profile, but they're very dark. It doesn't really reveal much. Just shows, hey, we're doing stuff here. I did see in the comments someone had said they were concerned it looked like it was getting Tim Burtonized and just made dark. And Wicked is a very vibrant and colorful play on stage. And he did reply and he addressed it and said, hey, colors in my DNA. This is going to be so much more colorful. This is not a representation of that. It's just a teaser image of what's to come. So stay tuned. More will be coming. They've been filming for a while, but it's still early on in the stage on this. I would assume that they are filming everything at once, and the delayed timeline is just for editing effects, all that fun stuff. But I'm not sure. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. Allergies are still kicking my ass, by the way. So I apologize if I sound off or if I'm constantly itching my nose on the YouTube version. So bear with me. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm all for more musical adaptations coming out, whether or not they're good. Just more exposure can be good. For musicals in general, we've discussed on here, I do think every musical should have a film staged version. I just think that in its entirety, as what it is, I enjoy seeing those. I think a lot of times when you turn it into a movie version, it can be bastardized a little bit and you can cut out some of the key moments, the heart from it. Like in Dear Evan Hansen, some of the songs were taken out from it that completely caused certain characters to lose their kind of character arcs and your sympathy with them and caring about them. And I really miss some of those songs. I felt like the Dear Evan Hansen adaptation was pretty weak for those reasons. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. Cautiously optimistic for it. It's not a musical that I am super familiar with, so I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other. I'm just excited. There's another musical that's being adapted. So, uh, speaking of which, right now we are in a fantastic time for musical TV series going on. Um, I would say my top two musical TV series of all time, I've mentioned them both on here multiple times, is Gallivant. That was an ABC series that only ran 2 seasons and was canceled. And then Smash, which was an NBC series that also only ran for 2 seasons and then was canceled. So maybe that's the trend. Maybe musical TV series aren't that successful. I haven't watched Empire. I don't know that I would consider that necessarily a musical. Well, I haven't watched it, so I shouldn't be fucking speaking on it anyways. I've heard Empire's great. It's on my list of things to watch. Um, there was a new one coming out. I want to say it had like Susan Sarandon, and it was basically like the white people version of Empire because it was in like Nashville and country music and stuff like that. I don't know why I'm comparing it to Empire. I haven't seen Empire, but it's white people and country music and drama. So that's going on. Wasn't there a series called Nashville too? That maybe they were singing. I don't know. I'm not one to talk about musical TV series. I don't know what I'm talking about, except I like Gallivant, I like Smash, and I like Schmigadoon. So, Schmigadoon season 2, which is in Schmicago, is going on right now. And so far, we're 3 episodes in, and I think it's been really solid. Um, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched season 1. I didn't get a rewatch in, so I can't really compare it to the first season, but every episode's been enjoyable. The tunes have been catchy. Episode 3 has Sweeney Todd vibes and parallels, which is kind of nice because our next week's episode is our Sweeney Todd review episode, which, be forewarned, that was later in the night when Rayleigh and I were filming that, and we were both drinking. So I don't know what you're going to be in for on that. I have not started editing it yet. So it could be a fun one, could be kind of unhinged like the Moulin Rouge one, but we'll see. So make sure to tune in next week for that one. Schmigadoon, season 2, great cast. Keegan Michael Key is great. Cecily Strong is great. Jane Krakowski. Jane Krakowski is better in this than she was in season 1. Was she even in season 1? I believe she was, but she's really good in this. Kristen Chenoweth, she doesn't show up until episode 3, but she's really good in it. Alan Cumming's really good. Aaron Tveit is good as always in it. Everyone's good. Everyone's good. Um, Dove Cameron, everyone else. I'm not going to list the entire cast to you. It's a great cast. It's a great series. Check it out. That's on Apple TV Plus. Um, Dave is a musical adjacent series, which I've also talked about on here on FXX. Season 3 just started of that. And we got 3 episodes out so far. They dropped 2 episodes at once. And then the 3rd episode came out last Wednesday, or you can watch it Thursdays on on Hulu. And it's been really good so far, season 3. I didn't love season 2 when I was in it. I did a rewatch and I appreciated it more. Season 1 I think is fantastic. I still episode 5 Hype Man and episode 9 Allie's Toast are still 2 of my favorite episodes of TV that I have seen ever. They are great. And he makes music in it, and so there is music throughout it. So I'm somewhat considering that a musical series, even though it is not directly one. So we'll see. In addition to that, we have Rise of the Pink Ladies going on at Paramount Plus. So there are 3 episodes out of that so far. I'm only 2 in. I'm an episode behind. So far, it's been good for what it is. It captures a lot of the kind of cheesiness and feel of Grease. Everything does look much more polished and almost like it's on a musical stage set, just with how clean and pristine all the sets look. Um, but the cast is strong in it. Some of it, like I said, they're overacting, but that's kind of to match the cheese and the tone of the original Grease movie. I feel like I still haven't watched Grease 2. We're waiting on that one. I mentioned it in the mini episode with Rayleigh that if there's a musical I haven't seen yet, for the most part, I'm waiting till we're gonna do the episode on here to watch it because I want to give my initial reactions, and that just sometimes leads to more fun on the podcast, like it did with Moulin Rouge. I had watched before, but it was passively half-ass watched it, so we'll see. And we've talked about before, we might be bringing in uh, Pat, one of our followers, he has strong feelings about Grease too, so we might bring him in for some debate on it. And so Rise of the Pink Ladies, that's on Paramount Plus. That's going on. My biggest concern about it is the episodes are an hour long, and there are 10 episodes in this first season. And 10 episodes, 10 basically 10 hours of a prequel series for an hour and a half movie is kind of an insane move, and I'm worried it's going to seem like they're stretching out and it's going to get tiring. Uh, an hour long episodes of a musical series in general is long. Like Smash had 45-minute episodes on NBC, but it was a drama, not really a straight musical as well. So I don't know. So we got those three series going right now: Schmigadoon, Dave, and Rise of the Pink Ladies. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time and give a brief review on the Hulu series Up Here. So I mentioned it briefly when I watched the first episode. And it was 8 episodes. It's a short season. I haven't seen any announcements if it's getting a second season or not. Without getting into spoilers, it does leave it open for a second season, but I'm not sure. I have mixed feelings on it. I felt like it was 6 or 7 out of 10 is what I would rate the series overall. Uh, I'm gonna keep my review of it as vague as possible. But if you don't want to know anything about it when you go to watch it, or anything that could be construed as a spoiler, skip ahead, check out the timestamps below so you don't get it spoiled. I wanted to like this series, and I went in cautiously optimistic of it. The trailers make it seem like the biggest theme in it is that these two people have their inner voices, their voices in their head that are talking to them, telling them doubt, negativity, all these things. And the trailers make it seem like them having the realization that they both have these visualizations, the specific people of the voices in their head. So for Lindsay, for example, it's her parents and one of like her middle school, grade school friends that she had experience with. And then for Miguel, his voices are um, a guy his girlfriend was cheating on him with, his mom, and then a girl that was, I don't think she was an ex. Now, see, now I'm blanking. This is how unmemorable it was. It was either an ex or a girl he liked that shamed him. No, I think she was one that said he would never be a popular guy and stuff like that. Whatever. These are the embodiments of their inner voices. They're ones that are talking to him. The trailer makes it seem like it's going to be like, oh, that's something they share with these specific, the voices talking to them. That they never have a conversation about them both experiencing these voices. The voices are not as prevalent in it as the trailer made it seem like they are going to be, and they didn't really explore that dynamic. I think that's a really cool way to represent the anxiety and self doubt and things that you can have playing in your head constantly. And I think a lot of people do have those, like, not necessarily visualize the embodiments of specific people saying those things, but you have those flashbacks of things people have told you in your life. Either you're never going to be good enough, you'll never be successful, things like that. So I think that's a really cool concept that wasn't really capitalized on a ton in the series. And one of my biggest complaints was you're putting this forth as a musical series. The director was the guy that directed the Hamilton stage version. That I feel bad. I have to look up his name now because I was unprepared for some reason. I don't know why. But it was directed by Thomas Kail, primarily. Well, that's the thing. So here I'm looking at the IMDb page. They advertise as directed by the director from the director of Hamilton. Thomas K only directed 2 of the episodes. There were 4 different people that directed 2 episodes each. So, um, and then they say from the writers of the music of Book of Mormon as well. There's not a single. There's maybe one song in here that is as catchy as even the least catchy song in Book of Mormon, in my opinion. Now, we have talked before. I'm a big Book of Mormon fan, the musical. So, do with that as you will. But that was my other biggest complaint with this. From how they were marketing it, there is only one song that I felt like maybe a second one, but only one that's truly memorable that I can think of lyrics, tune, everything like that in my head right now, and that comes in episode 2. So I don't know. It has potential. I like the storyline and what's going on with it. They did take some unique risks and different direction methods to do some storytelling. There's one that takes place, parts of it take place, part of it in like an 8-bit video game. That's really unique and cool. So it has a lot of good ideas working with it, but ultimately, I felt like they took almost every predictable path and every cliched path and explored that in this series instead of doing something really unique with it and having a chance to. I It kind of caused it to just fall flat for me. And I mean, if there's a second season, I'll check it out, but I'm also not going to be upset if there's not. I I don't know why. I also just have this concern in my head with it being set in New York, and now the timeline is into we're in 2000, and I'm like, this season goes on too long. I just have remember me in my head. I'm like, are we going to like? What's the goal of this? Are we gonna explore 9/11 and all that stuff on it? Are we gonna have someone die? Like I don't know. That's not really something that I need in my musical TV show. There's also parts in this series where they tease as if they're gonna get like serious and deep with it and explore deep issues, and they never fully commit and dive in. So again, like I said, I felt like they kind of just played it safe, went the cliched route with it, and I think it would have been fine as a mini series. Obviously, I thought it was going to end at one point, and then they threw in something else to kind of give it a little bit of a cliffhanger. And I felt like that was unnecessary. I felt like it could have ended how it was. Not everything needs to be multiple seasons. I get you want to have successful staples, and ultimately you want to be able to tell a longer story. And as an actor, you want to be able to have longer contracts. But not everything needs multiple seasons. I think it should have been a mini series. I also I have a problem that it might just be me. I like Mae Whitman. I like her voice as Lindsay, and I like the songs she sings by herself. I like Carlos Valdez, and I like his voice and the songs he sings by himself. I do not like their voices together. And in a romantic, musical, comedy, drama, dramedy, which pretty much everything is dramedy now. Nothing's straight comedy, nothing's really straight drama. They try to bring all that in. So I I just feel like when they're acting, they have pretty good chemistry together. But when they're singing, I don't like their voices together. Um, in episode 2 or 3, I think it's not until 3, they introduce like opening theme and credits and songs. And it's them singing together. It's not a particularly catchy one. I wouldn't have picked it as an opening theme. The art and the visuals in the opening theme and credits are great, and I really enjoy those. I don't care for the song, and I don't like their voices together. So Maybe other people do. And like I said, they both have good voices on their own. I just, together, the mesh, I don't feel it. And like I said, in the romantic dramedy, you kind of want your romantic leads to sound good together, especially if you're doing multiple seasons of duets and all that shit. I just, I don't know. That's my nitpicky thoughts, overall ones on Up here. I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. There's 8 episodes. They're around 30 minutes each. So you're looking at 4 hours total, as long as the new Martin Scorsese movie is going to be. So it's worth checking out if you have Hulu. But I wouldn't say rush to go watch it. Don't pause everything else and go watch this. Really, none of the musical series that I mentioned are like that right now, but they're good ones, and especially good ones to binge. I mean, musical series and comedy in general aren't ones that I'm like, oh man, I need to watch it as soon as it airs to make sure I can avoid spoilers. Like, I do that with The Mandalorian because I'm a nerd. I do it with Succession, which last week's episode of Succession, so I think it was episode 3 of this final season, was so good. It, in my opinion, it was definitely one of the top 3 episodes of Succession, maybe the best ones. Um, Earlier in the week, it was one of the only episodes in IMDb to have a perfect 10 rating. The only other one was a Breaking Bad episode. So I don't know if those ratings have dropped. I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon, so I'm excited to see how they follow up that episode this week. So, um, Succession is one of those shows. I didn't watch it as it aired. I binged the first 3 seasons when I had COVID. Might have been when I had COVID. I don't know. I binged them at one point, um, and I thought they were good. I didn't think some people hype is like, oh my, the writing is so good, which the writing is so good. Don't get me wrong there, but like, this is the best show ever. It's not. It is a perfectly fine TV series. It is better than fine. It is very well acted, well written, well directed. But for me, it's not. Like, you need to stop all the other shows you're watching right now. Go watch Succession. I think this is season 4, if I remember right. So it's a fairly quick one to binge if you want to on HBO, or they're streaming as it's going to be in May. Max. Sorry, hit the mic. So sorry if you got a spike there. I don't know. We'll see. I would like to see. HBO Max went through a phase where they were kind of shelving a lot of projects, canceling a lot of things. They canceled the Batgirl movie, even though it was almost completely filmed. Um, and it seemed like they were having money issues. They are now merging with, I believe it's Discovery Plus, and it's just going to be Max is going to be the streaming thing. Rates are getting bumped up a little bit, and I don't know. I would hope that I would like to see them dedicate and bring more original programming in, um, as well as there was an HBO series with Catherine Hahn. It was called Mrs. Fletcher, I believe. Um, and it's not even on HBO Max anymore. It's like this was an HBO original show, and it is not available to stream. There are a couple HBO Max original series and movies that they've taken off their platform. And I'm not a media mogul. I'm not a server guy either. So I don't know how all of that works, but I'm like, I would think that your original series for this streaming service should probably stay up there. But what do I know? I am just a lowly worker and podcast ranter. So the podcast ranting doesn't pay anything. It costs me money. Spending more money a month on this than almost all of my streaming subscriptions combined. So I don't have anything else for this episode. It was a short one again. These last 2 mini episodes, and I apologize. I typically try to do some more planning, put together a better show for you, instead of just putting out content for the sake of putting out content. And I feel like the last few mini episodes have been lacking and I've been unprepared. So I apologize. I will strive to do better. Hope you all are still tuning in. Appreciate those that support us, that comment on our posts, like our posts, share our posts and the podcast. I appreciate it. That's, I mean, ultimately, completely honestly, we do it for ourselves because Rayleigh and I enjoy doing this. We don't really talk until we record episodes. So that's why sometimes they go a little bit longer or they go off track, a little bit off the rails. That's pretty much the only time we talk to each other, just because life is crazy, work is crazy, everything's crazy. And so that's how that is. There's some behind the curtains for you, but appreciate you all. Make sure to follow, like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff that I hate to ask you to do, but would also love you forever if you did do those things. So, thanks for tuning in. Next week, a Sweeney Todd review. So, set your alarms or don't. Just subscribe and follow and turn on notifications. 6 a.m. Wednesday, the Central Time. That's when these episodes drop. Make sure to tune in. And as always, don't forget to go down once more. Later.